Feudalism and justice. Feudalism was a social system in medieval Europe. The system arose from the Roman Empire. Feudalism was important because it was widespread throughout Europe and affected the economic and social structure of many territories. As you can see from the slide, each country was subdivided into smaller portions that were governed by lords and nobles and were based primarily upon agriculture. The people involved were classified as follows in a hierarchy. Nobles were the landowners who served the crown by helping to maintain an army and paying taxes. Vassals were tenants of the nobles who pledged allegiance to the nobles that they worked under. They entered into a contract with the lord, who pledged to protect the vassal from foreign invaders, whereas the vassal pledged to fight for the lord under his command. Serfs were peasants who occupied land in the lord's estate, and were expected to work the land and cultivate fields, as well as working in mines, forests, and roads. They were considered tied to the land that they lived and worked on. A villein was a peasant who was legally bound to the land owned by the noble. They had more rights than slaves, but were still under legal restrictions. Villeins were able to have their own property and had the potential to be considered free men. Slaves were people who were bought and sold like property. They had no legal rights and did not earn income from their labor. Feudalism affects not only the social and economic factors, but also the justice system. The lower somebody is in the hierarchy, the fewer rights they have, and the more likely they will be found guilty and have to pay a fine. The lord of the manor would behave like a judge, in that cases would be tried before him, and testimony, when it was felt to be needed, was given by the vassals and other servants. There was no central justice system that one could appeal to except the king. The local system was based upon the owners of land. People were considered guilty until proven innocent. Trials were sometimes settled by subjecting suspects to painful events or by combat between suspects and accusers. One of the causes of the decline of feudalism was the 100 Years' War, during which many labors were used in combat. This decreased the number of workers in the manors. Another factor contributing to the decline of feudalism was the widespread bubonic plague. This caused not only a loss in population, but also a decrease in their economy due to the loss of workers. Thirdly, people staged revolts against governments across Europe and forced rulers to abolish serfdom. This led to changes in the economy, including improved conditions for workers. Their rights were redefined and the justice systems were altered in their favor. With the decline of feudalism, the economic systems of many countries changed. The justice systems were also altered in that individual owners of manors no longer had the singular privilege of supervising trials, and the rules and punishments were to be established by central governments. So yeah, that was my presentation about feudalism. I hope you enjoyed.